An identical twin who switched places with his death row killer brother under prison guards' noses is set to watch him die next week. David Moore, now 60, was serving a prison sentence for burglary in Nebraska, U.S. when he swapped places with his twin, Carrie Dean Moore. Locked up at the same facility, the brothers changed clothes and even jobs after asking for a meeting together to discuss a family issue. Although the switch worked for several hours, it ended up being foiled by an eagle-eyed kitchen supervisor who noticed a change in David. Guards discovered the then 26-year-old had put himself on death row. The 60-year-old murderer, pictured, swapped places with his twin in prison more than 3 decades ago. Image KETV News Watch 7. He did so in a spur-of-the-moment escape bid so that Carrie could perhaps breathe fresh air again, according to the Lincoln Journal-Star. He said there's nothing he wouldn't do for his murderer twin. And now, more than 3 decades on from the switch, David is set to watch his brother die by lethal injection for murdering 2 taxi drivers. Carrie, the longest-serving death row inmate in the state, shot and killed Omaha cabbies Ruel Van Ness Jr. and Maynard Helgeland in 1979. He is scheduled to be executed by lethal injection next Tuesday morning. Speaking to the Journal-Star, David said he would be there with Carrie if his execution goes ahead as planned at Nebraska State Penitentiary. "It will not be easy, no," he said. "But Dean wants me there, so I have little choice." Omaha taxi driver Maynard Helgeland, pictured, was shot and killed by Carrie in 1979. Image Facebook. David, who refers to his brother as Dean, described how he and his sibling were both animals at the time of the prison switch. "We weren't fit to be allowed in society, I guess," he said. But he claimed that Carrie isn't like what he was when he murdered Ruel and Maynard in separate incidents in August 1979. The murderer, who admitted the killings, shot his victims 5 days apart. He was sentenced to die in 1980. During the switch in 1984, he and David reportedly traded clothes after being taken to a room by guards to discuss a family matter. The pair were then led away from the room, with Carrie escorted back to his twin's prison cell and David taken straight to death row. It was a few hours later that the swap was discovered. Despite being given 7 previous execution dates, Carrie remains on death row nearly 40 years after the killings. Image KETV News Watch 7. Despite being given 7 previous execution dates, including one in 2011, Carrie remains on death row nearly 40 years after the killings. Maynard's son, Steve Helgeland, said he doubted his dad's killer will die. "Been down this road before," Steve, of South Dakota, told the Omaha World Herald, speaking after the August 14th execution date was set. "Until it happens, I don't have any faith Nebraska will get it done." Taking to social media last week, he also described how Carrie's family have had 4 long decades to prepare themselves for his death. Meanwhile, he got just 13 years with his father. He wrote on Facebook, "With the impending execution of the murderer of Maynard Helgeland and Ruel Van Ness, a few thoughts crossed my mind. While his execution and death are not a pleasant thing, and I am positive his family will experience pain over his loss, they have had 40 years to prepare themselves for this, 40 years to bond, 40 years to share. 40 years is a long time. If it is carried out as planned, his execution will be Nebraska's first using a lethal injection." File picture, image photo library room. "The murderer only allowed me 13 years total with my father. "I would trade 20 years of my life to get 40 years with my father." Steve added that his dad lost his life because Carey, then 21, wanted to prove to himself that he could kill someone by himself. "He left Mr. Van Ness to die in a field alone," the grieving son wrote. Carey's execution will be Nebraska's first using a lethal injection. One of the state's drugs will reportedly expire at the end of this month. According to the Journal Star, the murderer said the American Civil Liberties Union and his lawyer want to fight his sentence on his behalf. But he added most certainly he does not want that. David, who will soon retire, said the execution would be a relief.